Star Atlas team and everybody who is working behind the scene to make all of this possible. Otherwise, it was just going to be a plain dream. And I'm not here to dream. I'm here to build.
Great, great. Thank you, Christian. Thank you for sharing your vision and for sharing what the Interstellar Alliance is. If you want, you can drop the links to the Discord in general chat or in Townhall chat so
Yeah.
people can join.
I'm pretty
Mm,
sure that everybody can find our Twitter, find us in Twitter, the Interstellar Alliance. All of our links, our decks, our Discord, everything is there. But I'll ask someone to post it now in the guild channel. Thank
Perfect,
you very much
perfect.
for hosting this town hall, and
Thank you.
have a nice evening, everyone. Take care.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you. We also had Ardo from the Final Frontier lined up today, but I don't see him in the audience. So, okay, he raised the hand. Hey Ardo, how are you?
I'm doing good. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. Let's go. We are running like some little late in the timeline, so let's go straight to business, Ardo. How are you, man?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me today, everyone. Thank you, Santi, for all you've done. And thank you, Michael Wagner, for leading the way in a whole new just structure of what we could only imagine for a future of socioeconomics. And my hats off to Christian for everything he's done to lead the way for guilds into the metaverse and for the success that he's had with all of us building the United Metaverse organizations. So thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Ardo. So tell us a little bit about yourself and also about what is the Final Frontier.
Um, well, first and foremost, I'm a father, and not to I don't want to toot my own horn or anything, but I know a lot of people have asked who is Ardo. You might know me as Ricky, and I'll kind of just let let people run with their imaginations with that. And in terms of the Final Frontier, um, I just had a dream of doing something different. You know, I've been in professional guilds, I've been playing MMO and RPG games for well over a decade. And I got together with a few real life buddies, and the talk was I want something different. I want something that people feel like it's more than just joining an organization, but they feel like they're joining a family. And out of all I've accomplished in life, what's kind of next? So this in my business or just professional life is going to be the final frontier.
Great, great. Thank you for building inside Star Atlas.
Oh, it's been amazing. It's been amazing.
So, what is the Final Frontier?
So we are a decentralized autonomous organization as well as a professional gamers guild, and our focus is industrial development, logistics, knowledge share, um, partnership building, and operational security for missions and for designing protocols. And ultimately, um, we want to have a positive effect on the outcomes of intergalactic warfare, um, commerce, as well as the socioeconomic structure that you all have built for us in the Star Atlas metaverse. And the relationships that we build along the way will break the chains in some of the countries that fall under an oppressed economic structure. And we want to be a part of that fight to help people who are in a situation where they can't really help themselves.
Great goal, and that's also what Star Atlas is looking to build. So, Wardo, what made you decide to build inside Star Atlas and not in other game?
Well, after I kind of just walked away from World of Warcraft, which I had been in for, oh, it's been so long and so many expansions. I wanted something different, and I started looking into lots of YouTube videos from you know, game contributors such as KG Jan and Crypto Stash, and I came across some content from you, Santi, and I came across an interview from Michael Wagner, and and it's I tell everyone that it's that Morgan Freeman effect where he spoke and his voice was commanding, and I was able to listen to everything Michael said, and at the end of it, I knew that Star Atlas was where I need to be. And by the time that night was over, I was a poster owner and was ready for what was next. And I was telling my friends about it and sharing it to my social media. And then I started making videos on my YouTube channel about it. So, um, and it's just been an amazing journey ever since. The people I've met, the relationships we've built, the partnerships we've built, um, being able to talk to NASA about Star Atlas and the metaverse and how we're going to be involved with them. So thank you again for having that content for people like me to be able to see.
Thank you, Ardo. Thank you very much for being building here in Star Atlas, and we really appreciate that. So now let's jump into business. We are here with Michael Wagner, the one and only Swagner. How are you, Swagner, today?
Good, man. You always catch me off guard, Santi. I'm
Yeah, I
doing
know,
great.
I know, I know. I imagine that you're multitasking out there.
Always the way.
So
Oh,
yeah,
there's a lot to
always
get done.
working.
There's a lot to get done, as you know. But doing great.
Yeah,
How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Here is a sunny day, uh, 30 degrees Celsius, so I'm kind of dying, but we are doing great.
You might have to do the conversion for people that are not metric system based.
Well, they might have to go to Google because I don't know that. Okay, Swagner. Okay, so let's go straight into business. I know we are 5 minutes running behind the timeline. So, how are you today, man? Let's start with a brief introduction of yourself and Star Atlas. Keep it brief so we will go fast today, you know?
Sure. Yeah. Let's save some time for Q&A at the end. So for anyone who's not familiar with me, I'm co-founder and CEO of Star Atlas. There are 4 co-founders on the team. I'm not sure if they're out there in the audience today, but it includes Danny Floyd. He's our chief product officer. Jacob Floyd is our chief technology officer. And Pablo Quiroga is our chief revenue officer. We're also accompanied by a team of close to 140 people. That includes some third-party relationships that we are working with, but just incredibly talented people. Santi, for example, whom you all know quite well, but really talented, dedicated people on the team. So really quick thank you to all of them. Ardo, Christian, appreciate the kind words that you guys shared. Appreciate all the effort that you guys are putting in, and really just seeing the development across the community and the guild ecosystem is really inspiring to us internally. That's certainly a category that we want to support across Star Atlas. We of course want to support the individual players as well, but we do think that the largest forces, both economically and strategically within the metaverse, are going to consist of these decentralized autonomous corporations. So, but everyone out there spending some time with us today in the community, just thank you. We appreciate all that you do and all of your support. Star Atlas, just again, quick summary for anyone who's not aware. It's a AAA quality, massively multiplayer online game centered around space exploration, territory control, and political domination. Given our expertise in the crypto ecosystem, naturally we are incorporating a number of blockchain mechanics, such as NFTs, so non-fungible tokens, that empowers players with true asset ownership of virtually every asset within the metaverse. 2 crypto native tokens, both Atlas and Polis, as well as the integration of a number of DeFi primitives that will further empower players that are earning and monetizing the time that they're spending in the game to be able to continue to compound, grow their wealth. So that's Star Atlas, and we're super excited about the metaverse and about our own potential as both a game development studio, as well as what the future of human and social interaction inside digital worlds is going to look like, and our ability to influence the physical world across governance, across economics, and people empowerment.
Thank you. Great. Great summary as always, man. You are trained. You're trained. So before we move to the next segment, I would like to thank everybody out there in the community, to everyone who's helping us onboard new people, and also to our great moderators. They are doing a fantastic job across all channels, Discord, Telegram, Reddit. Also join the Star Atlas Reddit. We are putting some more content out there. So now let's move to business, Wagner. What do you think?
Let's do it.
I have a question for you before we move into fully Star Atlas. It's super Star Atlas related, but it's not from the product side. So we know that Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook made a big announcement for the future today, for the future of Facebook. What's your opinion about this, Michael?
Well, at first it was surprise, right? Not necessarily that they're getting into the metaverse space, but the conviction behind the decision to pivot and rebrand Facebook, which has an enormous amount of brand equity, over to the name Meta. I think that demonstrates the potential of this sector that we're working in right now. It's very encouraging for us to see major companies like that move into the space. This is also on the tail of companies like Epic, which is the creator of Unreal Engine, the game engine technology that we're building Star Atlas in. They raised $1 billion to develop out a metaverse, and there are many other large technology companies that are looking to pursue this. And we don't see it as really competitive whatsoever. There's plenty of room for the multiverse model. There's going to be plenty of places where different experiences can exist, but it really does kind of further endorse some of the statements that we've made as a company, that we believe the metaverse is not just a video game. It is the future of e-commerce. It's the future of the web. It's the future of social media. And so, once again, further enforcing that is the simple fact that Facebook is willing to undertake this massive rebranding effort, and fully commit to the metaverse. So if nothing else, I think it's just super promising that we're building here in this space with our model at the same time that the world is starting to appreciate and understand exactly what's going to be possible in the digital realm.
Yeah, 100%. I saw a tweet from you today, which I found funny but true in some way. You can share what you said in the tweet.
Oh,
It's a great thought. It's a great thought.
yeah, I think that obviously that I was being facetious there.
Yeah, yeah.
I take notes from Elon Musk. Try to be a little trolly, a little funny out there, but essentially just indicating that the timing of the Facebook announcement was probably expedited by the fact that there is awareness, collective consciousness around what we're doing at Star Atlas. So I don't necessarily think that's really true, but
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
but but like the demand, this is out in the ether now, right? Like people are understanding the concept of metaverse is really up and coming right now. So we're just super thrilled that we're at the forefront of this, and we're building on the bleeding edge.
No doubt, man. No doubt. So now let's move to what everybody wants. It's the updates about Star Atlas, and hopefully we can make you leak something today, Michael. What do you think?
I doubt it. I doubt it, Santi. We'll see. It's not very common, but yeah, man. So we skipped the town hall last week, so quite a bit of activity across the company over the past 2 weeks. I'll try to be quick here. We do want to save the time for live Q&A with everyone, but first and foremost, we made the formal release of a public roadmap. This is a highly abridged and truncated version. I want everyone to be fully aware this is not our working document internally, but we do want to give everybody some insight as to what the process and timelines look like for us, how we plan internally, when we intend to deliver, and exactly how many complex and complicated modules and subcomponents of the game are in development in its current state. We also have on there a list of all of the completed tasks, and really we wanted to include that so we can demonstrate just how much we've successfully completed over the course of the year. It's been an enormous amount of work. Once again, a lot of credit to the team who are just down in the trenches, putting in the extra hours, working overtime, and making sure that we can deliver this product in a timely fashion to everyone out there and meet the demand. So if you haven't seen it, we have it across all of our announcement channels, but you can find our Notion-based roadmap there. And the one final point I'd kind of make on that is that, please understand, we took a step back from this previously. We're trying to open back up the transparency around delivery dates, but all of the dates that you're looking at on the roadmap are target dates. There's an enormous amount of R&D that goes into everything that we're doing. There is no clear formula for how to build a product like Star Atlas. We are the ones that are creating that formula. So understand that there are target dates and then there are confirmed dates. So unless it says confirmed on that item, it is not definitive that it will be released on that timeline, but we do our best to get it out with the target date in mind. So beyond that, really the three core things that we've most recently been focused on are the score system, so ship commissions on remote expeditions, on the Star Atlas DAO, as well as on the final kind of polish items on something that we internally call Project Sugarcane. So I know everybody's very excited about the first feature of the mini game coming out, and that is score. So this will be the first opportunity that everybody has to take those ship NFTs that they've purchased from us through the Galactic Asset Offering process, deploy those to their faction, and then start earning Atlas. And the items that were completed over the past 2 weeks are the final versions of the UI designs, which has been handed off to our front end engineers, as well as all of the underlying economics. We've got final kind of clearance and approval on what the earnings potential will look like for all of those assets. So feeling really good now that we've handed it off. It's a process of getting the front end built out, doing quality assurance checks and UAT on that product, and then ultimately releasing that to you. So for anyone that's looking at the roadmap, you'll note we have a target date of November 18th on that. But we do always want to ensure that we're delivering the highest quality products. So not only from the design standpoint, but we are building out complex smart contracts and on-chain applications to be able to deliver these features to you. This is in stark contrast to the way that traditional game development takes place. We literally have to write all of the game logic in a smart contract and ensure that it is secure and safe for everyone to use. So that's what we're focused on with Score over the next couple of weeks. And we do think that we'll drop some work in progress shots of what the Score UI is going to look like. So because we know that there's a high demand for that. So secondary to that is ensuring that
Before,
we
can I interrupt you, Michael? Let
of
me
course.
interrupt you a little bit.
Mhm.
I used to shut up and let you drop the alpha, but I think that we should kind of explain a little bit what is Score for the people that maybe don't know and don't follow all the updates on what is it.
Yeah, sure. So we do also think about the rollout of all of our features and products through this iterative process, right? The last thing we want to do is make everybody wait, multiple months, years, or or longer to finally play and access and derive utility and start earning off of these. So Score is our tier 0 ship mission module. What it will consist of is taking your NFTs, committing those to the faction. So for anyone that's familiar with DeFi, this is kind of a staking module. You're not actively flying or utilizing your ship, but you are committing it to the faction. The gameplay components come through resource management requirements. And so every player is going to need to manage ammunition. They're going to need to manage food for their crew. They're going to need to manage their health. And why am I blanking on this right now, Santi? But it's
It were the 4 hours,
the
right?
the four R's: refuel, fuel. That's the last one. There we go. Refuel,
I
refuel.
got you, man. I got you.
I appreciate it, man. So yeah, there's going to be 4 different resource requirements. These all deplete at a variety of rates. The formulas that go into that are based on ship size, first of all, and there are a number of different ship sizes and classes, as well as the ship type has certain efficiencies. Each ship type has an efficiency in each one of those categories. So, a fighter ship, for example, is going to have a lower reserves of things like food, and they'll burn through food quicker, as well as through fuel. Whereas a freighter, for example, has efficiencies and higher capacity for some items. So these will, I'm not sure that we're going to release exactly what those numbers are, but you will be able to visualize all of that in the game UI when it comes out. And so the general idea is that these are going to be deployed as fleets. All of the fleets consist of a single type of ship. And so if you have 100 Pierce X4s, for example, you can commit all 100 of those Pierce X4s. If you have a Visus Opod or a 10 Visus Opods, you can deploy all of the Visus Opods. These will all be itemized out. You can manage your entire fleet. They're just listed by the specific ship that you intend to deploy and commit to your faction. And what you're really doing there, the kind of the lore behind it, is that the factions are still warring right now. Even though you guys aren't in the metaverse in the game playing, the factions are actually at war and fighting, and they're looking to enlist you and your assets to assist with that battle.
Perfect. Thank you. Great explanation, man. I will let you move on to the next one. I don't know if you have anything extra to add on the score side.
No, I mean that's it's once again we expect this to be fun. We know it's it's still kind of rudimentary on the mechanic side, but there is constant user engagement. There's strategy that you can take in terms of how and when you restock components, as well as there's going to be a market dynamic to all of these as well. I should mention, because while you can only allocate a certain amount of capacity to these resources while your ships are deployed, it is completely possible for you to go out and stock up on these components, on these resources, which are sold directly through the DACs. So the same place where you buy ships and any other items from us on primary markets, as well as where you can trade these ships on secondary markets with other people all over the world. You'll find these items on the DACs, and they'll, based on the current exchange rate of Atlas against USDC, the price point on the resources will slightly change. So you can kind of make some strategic decisions about when you think it's an opportune time to purchase and restock all of those items. I guess one final point I would make is that just to further elaborate on the economic structure inside Star Atlas, we do treat virtually every activity as some type of business operation. And so there's in current state, there's always going to be a net profit margin, but it will require that a portion of all of your earnings, which are denominated in Atlas from this gameplay, will be you'll have to reinvest those back into more resources should you want to continue with the score process. So what's really cool, and kind of a segue into the Star Atlas DAO, is that we have bifurcated the economics of the metaverse from the core economics and revenue model of us as a company. I think I've mentioned this before. I'll restate. We generate all of our revenue off of new item sales, so new NFT sales going into the marketplace. There's a number of different revenue streams, including the potential for secondary transaction fees that would be associated. But all of the economic value that's created in the metaverse is actually retained by the DAO itself. So anytime there's an operating cost, whether that be on land operations, such as replacing mining equipment or paying your land value tax, or on ships where you're feeding your crew members and you're repairing it over time and you're refueling or upgrading items, all of this revenue that's captured off of players in the form of operating costs actually flow directly into the Star Atlas DAO. And these end up being yield enhancers for anyone who's a governor. So with that being said, another major focus of ours right now, with the intent of delivering utility not only to Atlas as a token, but also to Polis, is to deliver the initial version of the Star Atlas DAO. Now, this would consist of staking, and we have quite a novel structure that we've implemented. There's a number of different pools that you can commit to, anywhere from a 6-month lockup to a 3-year lockup. And the yield that you are able to receive off of Polis, and this initial yield is in the form of Polis emissions for staking, will be enhanced the longer you are staked to the contract. There's a lot more to it, but this is a very simple way for people to stake their Polis and start earning additional Polis on top of the amount contributed. Shortly after we release the staking component, we will be releasing the governance protocols, and this will be yet another mechanism that allows players to not only earn additional yield, because there will be a variety of multipliers for people that are actively participating in governance. The whole purpose of the DAO is to get the community involved. And this will, this is a programmatic way that we can actually take your feedback through a proposal system and implement changes should the majority of the community vote that proposal into existence, right? So I think a lot of people are familiar with the way that DAO protocols work or governance protocols work, but maybe just a little elaboration is anybody, at least initially, will be able to submit a proposal with a series of requested changes to the way that the metaverse operates. Should the rest of the community and the rest of the governors that have Polis staked to the DAO decide that those changes are positive and they would like to see them implemented, they can vote on those. And a simple majority vote, at least in its current version, would imply to us that this is something the community wants, and so therefore we would take the action necessary to implement those changes from a company standpoint. So we finished all of the economics on it. The staking contract is nearly complete. We do want to make sure that staking contract goes through an audit, and so we're working on securing the external team that will complete the audit on the code. And we also have the initial wireframes of the UI designs for the DAO created, and so we're thinking within the next couple of weeks, before the end of November, probably we'll have an initial version, at least for staking, released, and then that would roll into enhanced governance features, shortly thereafter. Any questions on that, Santi?
I would like to point out, like, just for people to know the importance of the Star Atlas DAO, I like the example that you give that the DAO will even be able to vote the Star Atlas development team out from developing Star Atlas in the future. Can you explain a little bit more on that? Just for people to know the real importance of the Star Atlas DAO.
Yeah, I love that you bring it up. I mean, it's really a crazy concept, because historically, any company that's creating a product that has any degree of value would never simply turn that product over to the world. We operate under this ethos, though, of decentralization and kind of inclusion, and decentralized governance is very at the core of what it is that we're building. And so, at some point in the future, and this would be years down the line, I should probably clarify here, but at some point in the future, through the emission and inflation of Polis getting distributed out to various governors and being earned through various gameplay mechanics, it would be possible for the community at large to vote our company, Star Atlas Development Studio, to vote us out as the core developer of the game. At some point, we take the metaverse that we're building right now and we turn it over as a public utility that anybody has access to, and anybody has the ability to modify and alter and be a participant in their own way, right? And so this is, like I said, it's kind of an absurd thought that we would move forward with a roadmap strategy that we could actually lose our jobs, right, as the creator of this product. But what we believe is that we're going to demonstrate the ability that we have, the talent that we have, and our ability to continue to refine this product into the future. And so therefore would continue to be the core developers of the game and of the metaverse. But what's the other part that's really cool about this concept is that we don't want the metaverse, we don't want Star Atlas as a game to be something that has a short-lived life cycle, even 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. What we believe is that through the essentially open sourcing of the metaverse and creation of this public utility, it is a product that anybody can continue to evolve and modify into the infinite future. It's a product that could live in perpetuity, and of course, it wouldn't be a product that it is when today, or that it is in 5 years when we get closer to the full game release. But in 100 years, who knows what it becomes? And that's only possible through something like the Star Atlas DAO and through decentralization.
Great, great. I wanted to point that out because that's the real power to the people that we are saying.
Exactly. That is the, our internal, well, not only internal model, but motto, but also external motto, and definitely an ethos that we live by.
100%. So I think you were going to speak about Project Sugarcane, right?
That's right. Yeah, and I will be kind of quick on the next two components here. I want to make sure we save that time for Q&A. So Project Sugarcane was kind of the code name for the NFT marketplace, the full serum integration, a number of other elements of the current UI that people access when they go to play.staratlas.com. And we've been undertaking some major polish on that, partially from user feedback and partially from our own internal quality assurance checks on the product itself. And so a couple of really exciting things to come up will be item galleries on every one of those NFTs that people own today. We fully appreciate that, you're purchasing a single image right now does have limited utility because we don't have the gameplay out. But we already have a number of creative content associated with each and every one of the ships that we have scoped out. The 140 ships that will be released over time, and probably more that we will continue to create. But so, in the next release, which you'll see early next week, you'll see item galleries. So every ship you own is going to have a series of images that you can scroll through. You'll also see the release of ship stats and specs. So every one of your ships is going to be accompanied with information about, specialization, about crew member slots, about component slots. Essentially, whatever the specifications of each of those items is, will be revealed to you. And then finally, I think this is something that's I don't know if I'd say controversial. We've been listening in on and reading on Discord people's opinion on the transition to Atlas market pairs for all of the NFTs. That's a decision that we actually don't want to make exclusively internally. We want to make sure that we open that up to the community for vote, and we fully anticipate that that's going to be one of the initial proposals that get introduced on the Star Atlas DAO when that comes out. However, in the meantime, as a way to kind of satisfy demands of everyone, we've made the decision that we are going to be opening Atlas pairs on all of the existing ships that have been sold, as well as any upcoming ship, but that will be accompanied by USDC pairs as well. And so for any new ships that come out and any existing ships that have not sold out, assuming that there is some original inventory remaining, we will be splitting that 50-50. Now, we won't be rebalancing that at all. So there's going to be an inventory of ships on the ship and USDC market pair, and then there's going to be another half of the inventory available as an Atlas pair. And so if you want to spend your Atlas, if you want to take your earnings from score and reinvest that back into another ship or a bigger ship, you'll have the ability to do that going into the future. So all of those are coming out early next week, and we're really excited about the next move. And then I would also add, outside of Project Sugarcane, because of actually this Atlas pair feature implementation, we've been holding back on ship sales. Again, listening to some of the criticism out there about us selling NFTs without actually having the gameplay available and without having the utility for the tokens, we wanted to hold back and make sure that we were keeping everybody happy. But going into next week, you should see on Tuesday the revealing of 2 new ships, which will then become available for sale on the following Thursday with those Atlas pairs available.
Great. And great news. I know that everyone was looking for this. So yeah, thanks for sharing again, Michael.
Of course. And then just a very quick teaser is that we call the land operations module, we call that more. We've undertaken some of the initial discussions surrounding the economics of that game feature. So, talking about how are people going to purchase land? What is the price of land going to be? What kind of minerals will be on various claim stakes? And we do have this tier structure across land claims as well. going from 0 to 5, and naturally the tier 5 is the highest, and naturally the larger your land claim, the more exclusive or rare materials you'll be able to extract, the greater efficiency your operations will have, and the more profitable each one of those land parcels will be. So we are working on the initial economics behind land operations, and then we've got some really, really exciting work going on right now with crafting trees. And so I am looking forward to us having the ability to craft an NFT based on blueprints available by the time we release more. And this is, definitely going to be something that goes into Q1 of next year before we really break ground on more, given all of the other things that we have going on right now, and our desire to kind of take a step back at the end of this year and continue to polish and refine all of those existing features, and then incorporate user feedback in the future releases of the existing features.
Great, thanks. So before we move on to the next segment, I would like I would like to encourage everyone who wants to ask a question to raise their hands. If you have a question, raise your hand. We will start to let people in. And while people raise their hands, Michael, can you do like a brief overview of the roadmap that we posted? Just brief. What can people expect from Stratlas, coming from Stratlas in the short term?
Well, I mean, we really did just cover,
Yeah, but
those.
just briefly.
Sure, sure. So, if maybe we can even drop a link to this, or if you guys are out there listening, I know it's in the announcements channel on Discord, so you're welcome to pull that up and follow along with us. Unfortunately, I don't think we can do a screen share live in
We
these.
can't. We can't.
Yeah. So, just to recap again: Score, Polis DAO, and the final components of Project Sugarcane are all really current work in progress, upcoming. We're also working on ship missions and ship configuration. I want to point out here, a lot of people have demonstrated some enthusiasm around the 3D browser Star Atlas. Clarification, the mini game itself is not going to be completely 3D. This is referring to the map of the universe, the map of the metaverse, the namesake of the game, which is the Star Atlas. So that is a component that will be released as a 3D explorable map, right? So that's a longer timeline item, but it is in progress. Metaverse usernames, we've talked about this in the past. That's a work in progress. I'm not going to reveal any details on Project Mushroom or Project Apple Core. We have some pretty creative code names on each of our sub projects. But the one thing that I will touch on, and I did make a tweet about this as well. I was super, super excited. Danny shared with us the demo of our Showroom module. Now, Showroom, quick point of clarification. So we're building everything initially as this mini game feature. It's a web application. It's in browser. Two things are really important about that. First of all, this is maybe three things actually. First of all, it's a way for us to more expeditiously get features out to the public and provide utility for all of those assets you're buying. Second of all, this becomes an MVP for all of the on-chain logic that we're building out that will also be integrated into the Unreal Engine version of the game. I've mentioned this on several podcasts, but regardless of which environment players are engaged in, if it's a mobile application that we release in the future, if it's in the web browser, or if it's in Unreal Engine, we utilize blockchain as the underlying data architecture for all of that. And so when a state change occurs on Solana related to land, it doesn't matter if that state change was initiated in the web browser or in Unreal Engine, it will synchronize across all of those environments. So this is a way for us to write all of these on-chain applications and release features around them, and then have them prepared for when we have the full version of the game available. And so the third component of this is that the mini game is something that we intend to support indefinitely, right? For as long as we're around, the mini game should be supported. That's important because we have users from all over the world. Not everybody is going to be able to secure or own the hardware necessary to play the fully immersive cinematic world. Right? A lot of people are going to be working off of mobile devices, and so we think it's very important that we create these environments that enables inclusion from people from everywhere who can benefit from the play to earn model.
Perfect, perfect. That's why I asked you if you can do a new overall explanation. I know that there was some extra alpha there.
I think that was an elbow in the ribs, is what that was, Santi.
So we have right now. Let's move to Q&A, Michael. Let's move to Q&A.
Sure.
Let's
Hey, Ryan.
make another person make you drop some alpha, man.
Sure.
we have Ronin here. Ronin, how are you?
Good, thanks, and you guys.
We are
Doing
doing great, I think.
That's great to hear. I must say, firstly, thank you guys very much for releasing the whole roadmap. It's given so much clarification on everything that is potentially coming and to come and everything like that. And I also think it's something that the community really wanted desperately. But on a side note, I wanted to ask, you mentioned earlier on in regards to when you commit a fleet to a faction for a said mission and everything. Now, you said as well, you referred to say 100 PX5s and so on. If you committed all 100 of those PX5s per one of those PX5s, do you get basically a calculated amount of Atlas per one of those ships?
That's correct. We think about this in terms of earnings per unit of time. So seconds, minutes, hours is essentially the earnings potential of each one of these assets.
Cool. And then just a second question as well. When you said now where you're going to have the web application always hosted and everything like that, does that also mean that the web application will be connected towards the main game when the main game does come out as a hardware, basically?
The assets will synchronize. As we get towards, say, land development with geographic coordinates. If you have any land assets deployed, those would also be replicated inside the Star Atlas universe. Most likely, let me just quick caveat there. It's possible that we have kind of a complete universal destaking of all land assets. Not a deletion, but a destaking. Those return to your inventory, and then it's a mass race out into the Star Atlas universe. So I don't have all of the specifics on it at this time, but yes, the environments will synchronize.
And that's all for me. But thank you guys very much, and just continue doing the hard work that you guys are doing.
Thank
Thanks.
you, Ronin. We also have Phoenix Dragon here and Kaisen on stage. Let's move to Phoenix Dragon. How are you, man?
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Santi and Michael. I just have to say real quick that I appreciate my appreciation for the breadth and depth of the vision that you guys are creating. This is it's just phenomenal. I just really appreciate that. So my question, I'm still fairly new to crypto. I mean, I've been doing some things with it. I follow most of what you're talking about, but when you were talking about, could you describe, Michael, a little more what were you describing just today about the Atlas pairings that are happening and how that's going to work with the ships? I didn't quite understand what you were saying with that.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, so that's in reference to the market pairs that we sell assets for during the Galactic Asset Offering. So anytime we release a new ship, historically, we have sold that against a USDC pair. I say pairs because these are on the decentralized exchange. And so you can view the order books, and it's always the ship and the contra asset that you're using to purchase that ship. Maybe to expand a bit on the logic, I know there were some questions around this, but we as a company have very high operating costs. We have a large team. It's continuing to grow. It was very important for us from the start to ensure that we were receiving a stable token that we could use to continue to fund operating costs of the company. The last thing we wanted to do was drive a bunch of people to purchase Atlas so that they could buy ships, which would, arguably cause some price appreciation. But as soon as we received that Atlas, we would need to liquidate it. needed, right? To ensure that we have business continuity. We have the capital necessary to operate our company without having to deal with the volatility risk of being involved in the crypto ecosystem. And so that was the core logic. We just wanted to make sure that we weren't creating all of this unnecessary volatility in the market, kind of a pump and dump scheme. That's what we wanted to avoid. However, where we're at now, we're quite well capitalized, and as a result, we are willing to start to accept Atlas for a portion of those assets. And again, going into the future, if through a proposal on the DAO, people decide that they would like to see us accept exclusively Atlas, then that is something that the community can vote on and we would implement.
Gotcha. That's okay. That's so much more clear. Yeah, I was just a friend of mine and I were talking about this a few weeks ago, and I just have to say that your all's understanding of economics and crypto and the attention to the detail that you all have had with this it blows my mind every time I hear you all talk. So I just really appreciate you all. Thank you all so much for your commitment to this project and the longevity of it.
Really appreciate it, Phoenix Dragon. I would also say too, we we are going to be distributing rewards in Atlas. All of the rewards that players earn off of any of the features we release are denominated in Atlas. We wanted to ensure that there was at least a way to access new items, upgrades, components, and the like from us with that market pair. So, but nevertheless, appreciate your comments and appreciate the question.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Phoenix, for the kind words. We also have a Kaisen here on stage. Welcome, Kaisen. How are you?
I'm fine. Hi, guys. Minigame is for everyone. Oh, our poster holders.
The minigame will be available to anyone. In order to participate, you will need to own one of the ship NFTs, at least for this, for the initial version of it. In the future, as we open up things like land development, if you want to operate exclusively as a miner, extracting ore, refining ore, and making or printing new NFTs as a result of those blueprints and schematics that we release, that would be an option for you as well. But the initial version does require ownership of one of the ship NFTs.
Thanks.
Thank you, Kaisen, for the question. We also have Lin Jakey here. I don't know how to pronounce it. Welcome to the stage. We can't hear you right now. Okay, let's let someone else in. Meanwhile, Lin Jakey can fix the mic. Welcome, Bohemian, to the stage.
That's a familiar face.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Santi. For can you hear me?
Yeah, we
I have
can.
to check. Okay. Thank you for bringing me up here. How you doing, Michael? Thank you very much. Star Horizons is in the process of finishing up their white paper, and we're building a representative, something representative that will honor the vision that you have, and you have told us so countless times about the metaverse and Star Atlas. One question that has popped up is actually one omission that was noted on the roadmap that was, and thank you for that, by the way, was I did not see anything about the DACs. And my second question is about, could you talk a little bit about revenues from the master SAA, from the faction, from the regional? How will organizations or DACs will earn Atlas just for being a organization? Is that still on the table, or is that being delayed? When will that be implemented? Those kind of questions. That's it.
Sure. Let me take the first one first. So DACs are a subcomponent of the DAO framework that we're building out. The team that we were working with on that, the first iteration is to release the master DAO structure. The master DAO is the Star Atlas DAO. That's the entity that sits essentially outside of the metaverse, but defines the future design and development of the game as well as the metaverse itself. with the potential and ability to alter things like gameplay mechanics, game features, asset release schedules, general economic structures such as inflation rates. This will become incredibly important in the future when we get to a period of, perpetual inflation, should that exist. But those master DAO holders will not only earn Polis, they also have rights to those cash flows that flow into the DAO from the operating costs that are recaptured from the GDP of the metaverse economy. And so as the Atlas flows into the Star Atlas DAO, any stakeholders will have the ability to determine if they want to distribute those out to all stakeholders, if they would like to burn those tokens and reduce supply, if they would like to reinvest that back into the Star Atlas economy. I think I've touched on this previously. It's it's kind of counterintuitive that somebody who's a stakeholder or a governor would make the decision to forego receiving Atlas distributions from the DAO to kind of invest into the metaverse itself through player subsidies and incentives. But anybody with a long-term mindset would fully appreciate that our ability to continue to grow the user base to the potentially, the potential of the world population would support the concept of creating subsidies, additional subsidies and enhancements to attract those new users with the intent of growing the GDP in the long term. Which would result in greater rewards flowing into the DAO. So it's kind of a reinvestment strategy, if you will. That's all kind of the master DAO framework. Within the game, we will also release frameworks around faction DAOs, regional DAOs, and then ultimately the decentralized autonomous corporation structure. We're really more focused on Star Atlas DAO and DACs for now. We do want to ensure that we can deliver a tool set to you all, and that would be accompanied by the guild registration process. So you can set your insignia and name your guild. That would all be registered on chain. The idea is that you will have a no-code deployment wherein you can select from a menu of governance protocols that would then be implemented into your guild DAO structure, as well as this is the leak, Santi, as well as the ability to mint your own guild tokens. Now, we know a lot of people are kind of undertaking these actions right now. Yeah, minting and selling their own NFTs, part of a funding strategy with the intent of taking the funding and purchasing Star Atlas assets so the guild can earn. But we want to empower all of the guilds that are operating across Star Atlas with zero experience coding or development to be able to do all of these things all the same, right? We want those tools to be available. So you'd also be able to mint tokens and then use those tokens to potentially raise capital from venture capital out there with the intent of purchasing Atlas, Polis, and additional NFTs. To your second question, I'm not sure if I am interpreting correctly. Were you implying that simply forming an organization would entitle that unit to earn, or?
Well, it was kind of indicated in one of the economic papers, I believe, or the original white paper for Star Atlas, that organizations would receive revenue of some kind through taxation, through talking about the DACs, right? Is there any revenue coming towards the DACs? Now you mentioned the minting of tokens in the DACs. That opens Pandora's box too, right? So that's a big leak, by the way. So I was just wondering if there is anything coming into the organization that could be distributed to its members that is not mission related or mining related or any other operations that we talk about already. Talking about taxations, participation in the factions, any other kind of revenue. I just want to make sure there is no money that we're not thinking of that will be coming into the DAC. Yeah, you follow me?
I do. I think I do. I apologize if that wasn't completely clear in the game economic white paper, but there are no free cash flows into DACs simply for registering DACs. The taxation that would exist is through the collective of players that are engaged in gameplay itself. So completing missions and participating in operations, that revenue could flow into the guild treasury based on what the tax rate the guild defines is. So if you as a guild say we want 10% of all of our players' earnings to flow into the treasury, which we intend to do certain things with, that would be an option for you. And that would be a part of those DAC governance protocols that you could implement. And then your users, by the way, voting with your guild tokens, which could be distributed out to the members of your guild, they could vote on changes to that as well. So that's kind of independent of Polis. Polis is utilized across the faction DAOs and the regional DAOs. So the only other source of income for DACs that might be kind of a non-activity driven income source would be by participation across the regional DAOs and the faction DAOs. And so it's very possible that guild leaders or guild members get voted into positions of government in those sub DAOs, and as a result, can see some additional income flowing into their guild for being a participant, an active governor across the ecosystem.
Excellent. Thank you for that explanation. That really helps. Thank you so much. Thank you, Santi. I'll give it back to you. Thank you, Michael, again.
Always great questions. Thanks, Bohemian.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Bohemian.
Have an awesome day.
So, thank you very much. So let's see if Lin Jakey was able to fix the mic. Lin Jakey, please talk if you fix the mic. Okay, I'm guessing you didn't. So let's move to audience Lin Jakey, and hopefully he can fix the mic. We also have Amadan here. Amadan, welcome to the stage. How are you?
I'm well. Can you guys hear me right now?
Yeah, we can.
Sorry about the family background a minute ago. That's
No problem,
just
no problem.
My noobishness. That's just me as an onboarder. I'm gonna just dumb down the conversation a lot right now. As an entry level person, the economics seem a little bit kind of out of reach for like thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to set up rigs and ships and stuff. Is there a way to kind of get in on escort or working level or smaller investment level with some of the mid-range rigs and still afford a claim, let's say 10,000 as a middle-class American or 20,000 as a middle-class American? Is that possible with this game?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we did design the economics of our sales around this concept of both inclusion as well as aspirational wealth. I don't necessarily want to go out and say whales, right? Let me just kind of touch on the higher end where we anticipate having Titan class and mothership class ships get sold for anywhere from 5 to 10 million. These are likely to serve as central traveling home bases, safe harbors for entire guilds or collectives of players. We don't anticipate that any individual player would want to own or should own all of the largest ships in the game, but very similar to the way that we structured out the Rebirth Genesis of a Metaverse campaign. Sounds like you're relatively new, so maybe you're not as familiar with our original poster campaign that was launched back in April, but we have ships that go all the way down to $20. Right. And really anywhere from $20 to a couple $1,000 will get you into those middle range ships. The earnings potential of those are roughly proportional. There's going to be some efficiencies for larger scale operations, but even those smaller ships still have a similar earnings potential to somebody that's spending more money on assets from us. But really what we anticipate seeing is that, assuming that we can structure this really self-sustainable economy, over time, is that players would be taking their earnings and reinvesting that back into themselves. So using some of your Atlas earnings and purchasing a bigger ship from that, right? Or purchasing some land and establishing land and mining operations in which you can potentially mint your own ship. And yes, the timeline might be a little bit longer if you have less capital to deploy to the game initially. But over the long term, if you have you intend to stay and play inside the metaverse, then your ability to secure and earn and pilot those larger assets will exist for you as well. So I don't know if that fully answers your question, but hope it helps.
I'll just follow up with one. That is helpful. I understand it has to be scaled that way. But the follow-up question would be, would one of those mid-range ships have this is kind of a utilitarian question, have cargo space to carry rigs? Can I carry a rig in the Pierce a medium range. I guess you need the battery, the drill, the station, or are those all only deployable from the larger ships? And then I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Yeah, good question. The land equipment isn't going to be contingent on transporting it as a ship. I don't anticipate. Danny could probably, Danny's our chief product officer, could probably speak a little more directly to that. But you're not going to have to like transport your land equipment to the planet to place it down. I don't think so. Shouldn't be limited by that functionality. I also wanted to just very quickly, maybe as a final point here, Santi, because we are kind of winding down, but for anyone out there that doesn't have any money to spend, while we're not a free to play game per se, although there might be some opportunities to earn Atlas, Polis. Of course, we're doing a bunch of promotions. We've been giving away ship NFTs that those owners would be able to deploy in the universe. But we do truly believe in the potential of the labor market that's going to exist across Star Atlas and the ability for employment from people all over the world. This is kind of most comparable to Axie Infinity's scholarship model. So it's very, very likely. And we have conversations actually every week with venture capital groups that are looking to purchase assets with no intent to play. But those groups are looking for operators. So even if you don't have any money, it will be your first opportunity to take a job, take a position inside the metaverse, start earning from that. Of course, you're sharing revenues with the people that are lending you the assets, but at least you'll have a chance to get into the game, earn, and then upgrade items over time.
That is a great liberation. I really believe in you guys' dream. I mean, this is all of our dream, I guess, if we're here present, and it really is humanity's dream, right? To free us from the kind of daily labors in the third world would be a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
please consider some collab at some point with the Voodoo Collective, because it almost overruns your, the storylines can be equally seamless almost.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the collaboration with whom?
The Voodoo Collective. We're it's just another group. They're trying to get kind of international branding. They're not in the AAA gaming space. They're more in the art and merchandise and trying to get into movie space. But just consider collaboration because they're like in the year 3060 anyways. It's just a group, Voodoo Collective. I have to promote them. Thank you for the time, guys. I know you're busy, guys. Be safe. Stay clean.
Thanks so much, Hamadan.
Thank you, Hamadan. So yeah, Michael, what do you think? Do you have any closing thoughts?
No, it's just super exciting times. I mean, it's again so encouraging for us to see just how much interest is forming around the metaverse concept itself. It to Hamadan's point, it's very liberating. We see this highly competitive and highly compensatory labor market forming that will empower people from all over the world to kind of break free of, maybe at an extreme systemic oppression, but also just to break free from geographic bounds, right? You can, this is the total remote workplace that anybody can have a laptop or a mobile device or a nice computer, work from anywhere in the world and find a competitive job that doesn't matter where they live geographically. Right. And I think that this is just, super powerful. And it's not only about the gameplay itself. It's not only about the social experiences, the interaction that people will have with one another, the communities that will form. It's about how we can, over time, start to transform people's philosophy and ideology around the way the world works, because we get to utilize this digital universe that we're building as a proving grounds for new models for society to operate under. So we love the space we're in. We're all very passionate about this and just very much looking forward to the continuous development and release of this product.
Nothing to add there, just a power to the people.
And stick it to the man.
See you guys. Thank you for joining today.
Thanks, everyone.
Are you ready for the next evolution in gaming? Blockchain games are here. Why just play when you can play to earn? Enter the Star Atlas metaverse with Rome. Star Atlas is a grand strategy game of space exploration, territorial conquest, political domination, and so much more. Rome is a premier guild of the Oni faction within Star Atlas. Rome is here to play and to earn. Want to take part in the action? Rome is accepting new citizens. Join the Rome Guild on Discord to learn more at gorome.io.